All right, I have to ask the first question. I
Go
have
for
to.
it.
Gentlemen, first, welcome. And, hey, and then Deja Vu, I've got a direct first question for you, Wally.
Yeah.
Ruinberg, you guys have 3 battles on there. All of them are wins. What's that mean? Tell me about it. I need to know. I need to know what's up with you guys.
At the beginning of the season, throughout most of it, it kind of just became our pick ban. We didn't really like it. We saw it as a 1-1 map, and we liked 2-0s. We kind of let it slip a couple times. And we played well on it. Scrim's pretty good on it. We just let it. We were like, why not? Let's do it.
All right.
We're 3-0. Let's do it.
Yeah, so it's a favorite map. You guys know it starts this whole series for you, so it's this is all you. Now, Rival, knowing that, what's Rival going to do about Ruinberg? Because you guys are a little shakier on Ruinberg.
Like you were saying, our sample size is a little bit larger, I imagine, but we did also been scrimming it recently as well, so we feel like we've got something that works. Especially for the attack, since that's really the side that most teams have the most trouble on. It's attack. Defense is, Ruinberg defense. So we're going to see if it works out.
All right. And then I've wanted to ask this one almost all season. Executives, I've been looking at the backdrop right behind you, and I got to say, respecting the Simple Tankers jersey back there, you guys also have your nameplate. Is that, what season, what year is that from?
That is the San Francisco when it was at I don't even remember the name of the venue.
The Folsom Street Foundry?
Yeah. Folsom Street Foundry. I've got the one from season 2 when we had Millard and I think Sam Cyanide made us little cards and we started that. I've got that somewhere here.
Yeah, you guys have, wow, that is such a throwback. Thanks for keeping it around.
Yep. So, Wally, my last question for you is going into the playoffs, we've kind of called you guys mini Eclipse before. Do you feel that title's deserved?
I would have said that coming out of round robin 1. Round robin 2, we've gone really shaky up until the end. Obviously, we lost Tuesday, but that's not a huge deal. That was kind of pretty much a joke match for most people. But yeah, you could probably go for that. Well, you can say it definitely if we win tonight. I'll give you that.
All right.
If we win tonight, I'll let you say it all you want.
I don't think he's going to argue with you putting him up there as the Eclipse.
Yeah. That said, Wally, do you have any final words for Rival Simple Tankers and Executus?
No. Good luck. Have fun, man.
All right. Executus, Rival Simple Tankers, do you have any final words for Wally Whiff and Deja Vu?
No, just hopefully we make a good series as the last one was. It's going to be hard work to live up to, but let's go and try to do it.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys in battle in just a minute.
All right.
Kind of interesting there at a Deja Vu during that last match. Now you got to remember, it essentially was a meaningless match, so you can kind of see how they came about that mindset. Didn't want to give anything away. Want to save it for matches that they feel are more important. And we've seen that out of a couple other teams. Apex, they didn't do anything new when their match was guaranteed. They just ran what they did. Now, provided they can run it very, very well because they're Apex.
Yes.
That said, they kept their cards very close to their chest. They didn't reveal anything new. And they did enough to make sure they got the win. And with M60s not having Felix, kind of hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, taking those measured risks. You don't want to give away strategies when you don't have to. And if you can cause some confusion in a nice match that ultimately doesn't impact you to lose or win, you can throw out some strategies and even maybe confuse your opponents on what you're going to do.
All right, so we are about 40 seconds away from getting into the first battle of the series.
Okay. Predictions.
What do you give it to?
Well, I'm going to admit this one. I'm biased. I'm biased towards Rival. You probably can tell because they're guys that I'm familiar with. They're people I remember and I've seen. So I've got to give it to them, even though reasonably Deja Vu is probably going to do the Eclipse that you're talking about. They're probably going to do pretty well this season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit biased towards Deja Vu, but we'll get into it in a minute because we are ready for our first battle right now.
Ruinberg, a mixed-type map. The defending team starts the battle on the green, and the attacking team starts at the centre square of the town. Bases are located quite far from each other. Both bases are better controlled from the village when playing a heavy setup. It's better to attack the first base through the top direction with the help of several well-armoured heavy tanks. For the attack on the second base, it's better to use a more mobile setup and either play through the centre or split forces. In general, the map is not easy to play on. Teams often use blind shots and risky shifting of the forces from one flank to another.
right. Welcome to battle number 1, tank lineup. I'm looking at 3 113s, a 50B, and 2 bat shots, T-54 lightweight.
Meanwhile, Rival coming in with 2 113s, an IS-7, a 50B, 2 TVPs, and a 1390.
Thoughts?
Kind of an interesting pick there out of Rival. 2 TVPs on Ruinberg defense. Does provide a lot of burst, a lot of good initial damage. So right now we're going to see them drive towards this Delta Village and look for shots on anything coming out of the middle road. However, they're not going to find anything. They're not going to be there, so they're going to set up ready for the south. And they may hit this cross if they can light Maktep Putin in the south there.
Maktep?
Executus does get lit.
Master Putin. I'm going to give that to you. I'm going to get you every time you say it, because I did this.
Maktep.
I did it for
Maktep.
like 3
Maktep.
weeks. I did it for like 3 weeks. I called him Maktep, and they didn't tell me. No one told me. I'm going to tell you.
All
I'm
right.
going to know before it's too late.
It's already too late. But that's besides the point. Right now, Rival pushing in these 113s. Or excuse me, Deja Vu pushing in. Flak is going to go ahead and commit his way all the way down the 0 line. He is going to take a little bit of damage, but he should be able to get down there safely. He's already past the point of no return, so he just has to drive it down. Turret already angled towards the guns. Despite driving away.
1289 though.
A lot of
One
damage.
shot into Flak. He was very, very low. One more shell may do it. He's 418 hit points. All of that went right into his engine.
And a lot of cap pressure coming in. 3 on cap right now, 4 on cap. The 3 113s and the T-54 lightweight. And what they're doing is they're leaving Chase in the tiniest little bush on cap here. And essentially, even if the 113s get spotted, it's Chase with the majority of the cap points. So they need to make sure they commit to light someone and can get the reset on that little T-54 lightweight. Caps at 12 seconds.
Yeah, and unknown one's going to have to do it. Unknown one's going to have to be the one that comes in and around and gets that hit.
And they're starting to screen for him right now. They don't have any resets. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, and a reset comes in. We're up to 10. 8. They still need one more reset. They have it.
Someone's going to have to go in and
does
get it.
Lit. He does get reset. However, Durgil and Harmless still haven't been hit. An HE shell actually bounces off the front without doing any damage. 8 seconds. 7 seconds. The cap pressure's still on, and the HP is heavily in favor of Deja Vu. They do get the resets, but it's back down to 22.
Rival shouldn't be able to do anything with this no matter what now. There's too much. They paid too much in order to slow this cap down. Now the cap pressure is too much. They're not going to be able to force Deja Vu off unless they can get enough damage in one volley without taking too much of a return. Because you said it. Hit points. They're too low.
Just right now, Flak finding some shots, but Commander J goes down. Maktep Putin picking him up there. Still have the cap pressure going on. One of the 113s has left town and is pushing towards the Delta Village. Now Harmless is going to join him. They're only going to leave Chase Pato. However, Chase Pato's down to a one-shotter and 23 HP. Nationwide picks up E63. Trades going back and forth. Durgil getting focused out by the tanks left alive here.
And here we go. Pub Whisperer in the city is going to try and take on Nationwide, pick him off on the side, maybe get something out of that. I probably won't be able to affect it enough because it looks like the east side is totally gone to Deja Vu. It's all
Pub
about
can
cleanup.
do this. Pub can totally do this, and he does pick up the 50B. 2 tanks left alive, but great focus fire out of the 113s, taking down Pub Whisperer, pretty much securing the round win for Deja Vu.
And Executus all alone, nobody here beside him. His troubles are all gone, and he's going to die.
He's going to pull forward the 2 113s, both going to tap him, 870. He's down to a one-shotter. He does pick up Aggressor, but Harmless finishes him off.
There we go. All right, battle 1 to Deja Vu. Strong start. Good strategy to start it off with. You put cap pressure on. Your opponent doesn't get time to kind of warm up, maybe stretch their legs and get a chance to get used to them. They're just right up in your face off the bat. I like it. It's a good way to start. Sets the tempo, puts Deja Vu in control of the match.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing to think about here is, first off, Deja Vu saying that they don't really feel that strong on Ruinberg. They didn't really like it, and so they kept banning it through most of the season. And now they come in, and they get an attacking win on Ruinberg, which is something I've talked a lot about this season. For the defense to lose, it's really For the defense to lose, it's really up to the defense to make the mistakes to give the attacking team the opening there.
Yes, it's up to it because it's in the East. You can control that pretty easily.
What do you feel that Rival did wrong there?
That's tricky. That is tricky because I could see what they were going for. Everything was lining up. That IS-7 going to the far south, that's something that I don't know what to think about yet because we see so often that an IS-7 or a 113 will head to the southeast, it is, in order to get into a position to be just as annoying as he can, because the shots from that direction aren't great. There's good bush cover, but the way spotting mechanics work now, you can't just stay hidden back there.
Yep. Now here's the thing to think about with that. What we've seen out of Rival is we see them delay the I-7 pushing down there, wait for the team to commit, and then they push that I-7 down late. And what happens normally is he gets down there relatively scot-free.
Okay.
He has a good crossfire, and he's really hard to dig out. If you push him down there too early, they know he's there. They don't really want to commit because they know I-7's already there. So by not having him and pushing him down, he can get in there. However, Deja Vu, obviously doing their homework, they pick up on this is a common strat out of them, and they set up, and instead of just being down in the low ground and applying a cap pressure, they sit in a spot where they're ready to punish him as he makes that push, and they sneak in the shots, and they put a lot of damage onto Flack to where he couldn't really poke to get those resets as often as they wanted.
Yeah.
Once he goes down, he's the first line of defense for getting the resets.
Because his alternate angle changes everything once he goes down. However, tank lineup, sorry, man, we got to get into this next battle. They're about to start.
Deja Vu, 2 215Bs, a 50B, a TVP, 2 113s, and a T54 lightweight. Rival, 3 113s, 3 Batchats, and a Scorpion G.
Yes, we haven't seen one of these in a while.
Yep,
Where did they go?
It's been a few weeks. Teams trying to figure out how they can fit them into their lineups a bit better.
I know how.
M60s was the one that we really saw use it a lot. Then we started seeing it a lot more over on the EU and CIS streams. And just look at the camo and how that fits on that tank. That looks so good.
Oh yeah, let's just get right and close. So this tank, one, it has an actual scorpion painted on it, which is a selling point on its own because scorpions are cool. Everybody remembers middle school.
But just look at this camo and how it fits on this scorpion. It just looks so natural.
It's like everyone else's camo is very like clean and looks like it was freshly painted yesterday. But the scorpion, it does look like this was left in a garage, painted with one coat, and then someone said, I'll finish later. And now here we are.
Yep, and just looking at these lineups, not a whole lot of movement out of either team. Rival setting up in the south end of town, just looking for any sort of early aggression out of Deja Vu, whether it's a push in the south or push through the 2-3 line coming across the north.
Little blind fire, though. So from the south, we've got Unknown One. I like this. We don't see this actually very often. Unknown One was actually hiding in a push, and for his blind fire. Almost all of the blind fire I've seen this season in this general area has been just out in the open in the middle of a field. No one's caring whether or not a counter push could even come, because conceiving of a counter push coming would be absurd, you know?
Yep.
To everyone. But it would be a nice strategy to see.
Now here, look at this, though. They have those 3 Batchats. Executives chilling out at the fountain, and the other 2 Batchats are rotating out of the south now, and they're rotating towards the north. They are leaving those 113s all the way down on the red line, all the way in the south.
Yeah, because they're going to come right up the 6 line, right? If you push with the Batchats from the west, what is the shortest route? Take a look at the mini-map, and you see. It's just, here, I'll pull up the mini-map for you. Here, I'll give you 1 sec. It's just, we'll telestrate this one. Why not? We don't use this tool enough. It right up through the middle. So go ahead, take a look at that. You've got Executus to run around, come up on the red line, and take control of the village, where you've got Harmless and Master Putin. Unknown One can decide to put cap pressure on earlier, or he can decide to cross, or he can decide to kind of get into a position behind one of these houses.
Now here's the problem that you run is look at these splits. Look at the tanks from Deja Vu. They have 5 guns still along the 0 line. They can very easily dump into these 113s if they realize that's what's going on. If they can get farther enough into the south, those Batchats have no way of supporting them. So even if they can get through these 113s in the North Village, the tanks in the south could be overmatched if they're quick enough to recognize it and move.
I see what you're going for. Yeah, it's if you're ready for that push up the mid, you can do something. And if not, well, they can just get by and they don't pay a single dime.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. Timing is everything. Commander J and Executus and Unknown One sitting there, and they're actually starting to back off a little bit. They're calling out. They have the 113s moved up into position, and right now, Deja Vu have not actually made any sort of play towards it.
Oh, nice shot. Aggressor sneaks one through the window onto E63. Just love it when I see those angles work out, because it's so very, very thin to fire through those windows from that high ground in the east into the west where those 113s are. But knowing where you can get those, that's a mark of someone who's really studied the map.
Yep, and Coffee Thief been such a consistent player for Rival this season. He's done so well. And looking at him here, trying to find some angles, but not able to get any shots off. Definitely keep an eye on him going later into our match.
And here's the audible. Looks like that was going to be that north push we were seeing for a moment, but when they spotted Harmless and Master Putin up there, they realized that this is not something that's going to work out. When you have 2 tanks up there established in positions.
This could work to their advantage, though. If they know those heavy tanks are up there, they could know that that's 2 guns out of the fight. So right now, they're in a good position to attack the south.
And that's when we see Southern attacks win, is when you see those 2 tanks in the north.
If they can capitalize on the overmatch. However, the 113s are now spotted, and they're across the field. This should trigger that rotate out of those tanks in the north. They never spotted those bat chats, so the only tank they know is there, it looks like, is Executus, who's trying to harass them a little bit.
Yeah, although Aggressor takes a huge amount of damage.
That said,
that's going to force them to back off.
The bat chats are pushing in. Let's go ahead and take a listen in as this push comes out from Rival.
That's fine. Just come back to the middle, I think. Manager, do we want to go after this guy?
Probably not.
Okay. I mean, heavies are engaging
50 be there.
Alright. Heavies, can you
get the lightweight shooting me. Lightweight shooting me.
Okay, we'll get him. I'll go for him.
Can you hit?
50 down
Carefully
1.
6, carefully 6.
50 down, TVP down 1.
Nationwide's low. Good.
Okay, exact. So
My engine's dead
we have
flat.
shots on them. I
You're
have
gonna have
left.
to do aggressive stuff.
Okay.
I have shots on Nationwide.
Moving up.
Commander, I think we should just get in there.
Be careful, Flat. You're too far up.
I know, I just want to get
If you can,
nationwide.
okay, if you can
They're
finish
50,
him.
oh, fuck, I'm tracked out. The 50B is going to be loaded in a second.
I'm trying to get Nationwide. Loaded in 3.
50V -1.
Waste
Got
smart,
Nationwide,
waste
Nationwide's
smart,
out.
waste
50,
smart.
my little platoon
We have
-2.
the cap right now. Exec has a crossfire.
Yeah, I have
okay.
shots on Durzel. Nice shot.
Good damage, guys. Good damage.
And I love that push out of Rival. So often I've talked about that push in the south and the timing with the heavy tanks, and Rival doing a very good job to execute it. Commander Jake does pick up the kill on Durzel, and now Rival are in the driver's seat right now. They're up by about 4,000 HP, 3,000 give or take. They're just in control right now. They have a complete crossfire surrounding Deja Vu. Not a whole lot of places they can go. And it's actually going to be the attacking team winning both sides on this map.
Yep, Harmless, just about dead. You've got him out in the open. He wasn't able to get into a position. I think you said it. They needed to react, and they weren't even set up to do it if they wanted to. That was a good play from Rival. You noticed on their comms. I like the pacing. I really love hearing that, because you're hearing people not giving orders all the time. You're hearing people work together. You're hearing a team that understands what people need without needing to ask for it all the time.
And No One and Pup both get 2 kills at the same time. Flack moving in, fires a shot at My Little Putin and puts it into the dirt. However, it should not matter. My Little Putin has 1,000 HP. Rival as a whole have almost 5,000. They should be able to just clean them up here as he reloads.
In just a moment. Now, with a few last seconds here, what do you think? That was all Rival, right? That was a strong play. They reacted properly.
Well, it was a great play. They weren't in position to deal with that south push. They got caught out with a bunch of heavy tanks, and I get what they're going for. They're trying to cheat towards the north. Let's leave 2 heavy tanks here, so if those bat chats push in, they're hard to dig out. What happens a lot of times is teams pull all their heavy tanks out towards the 0 line, and so when that team makes that push in the north, they get in there, and they're in there essentially for scot-free. And then all of a sudden you have to have the heavy tanks drive across crossfire to get in there, and then they have to try to bully out a bunch of bat chats that are all nice and tucked in with cap pressure going. And it's difficult to do. So what they're trying to do is just cheat it a little bit. Let's leave the 2 heavy tanks here. We should have enough in the south.
Yeah.
The problem is that once they didn't have the intel, they didn't recognize that it was a solid south play out of Rival, and that 6 of their 7 guns were essentially in the south, provided Pub Whisper was in that middle F line.
It seems like they should have predicted that, which is kind of strange, but yeah.
They just didn't have the intel as my biggest beef. They had no warning, no knowing of exactly where the tanks were. And so when that push with the 5 tanks did come out in the south, they weren't ready for it, and they couldn't get their guns on target. Rival did a very good job at timing it correctly, getting their heavy tanks straight up into the face of their heavy tanks and drawing shots, and allowing their bat chats to go in there and get that T-54 lightweight for essentially free. Because if you looked at it, both the bat chats down there, Unknown One and Commander Jade, they got in there, they got the lightweight, and they didn't take any damage for it.
They took like 1 shell. I saw 1 shell of damage, which is effectively nothing.
So, to a certain extent, that is a great push out of Rival. If Deja Vu had read it better and had more guns in the south and predicted it a bit better, which I feel they should have, I think that's a completely different fight.
Yes, although I did appreciate the fact that you notice how Rival's 113s engaged and kind of created a bit of more of a distraction before the Batchats went in.
Mm-hmm.
Where often where you see that south push fail is when the Batchats in the far south push in
First.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before. It's a really hard timing to get down because you want it to be either exactly at the same time or the heavies to lead it just by a little bit. Now, the problem is if the heavies go too soon and the light tanks don't come soon enough, all of a sudden all those heavy tanks are reloaded again.
Yeah.
That said, we're on to our second map of the night. Take it away.
Prokhorovka, one of the first maps in the game. Teams start at the regular spawn points as they do in standard battles. Bases are separated from each other by the railway, so the defending team has to choose whether to send their vehicles to the left side, playing them in the centre, or to the right of the railway, occupying the hill and a part of the village. The attacking team usually attacks the first base. However, the teams often go for face-to-face confrontations, 7-on-7, in the hilly terrain at the centre. That's why both teams frequently use vehicles with good gun depression angles and sturdy turrets.
On a map of nothing but hills, Rival decides to bring 3 113s, a 140, 2 Batchats, and a T-54 lightweight. Meanwhile, Deja Vu, 2 113s of their own, an STB, 3 Batchats, and an RU-251.
And take a look at the way Rival's driving. I've got Commander J going towards the mid, and you've got Deja Vu going towards the mid as well.
Now let's just hope Rival do not bail out like you did last time. Take this engagement. You're in the position. Your guns are together, and you're going to get punished if you go over. Do not run the same play. Meanwhile, the Batchats coming straight down the 6 line. Are we going to see an all-out brawl? Are they just going to go over? Harmless looking for some shots.
Oh, there it is. Putin, Chase Potato going and taking. That's it. They're going to take control of the east side of the tracks. They're going to force Rival into the low ground and into a position where they're wedged. Deja Vu has the advantage here. They can begin wrapping around to the south. They can begin wrapping around to the west. And they're going to have an advantage no matter what. Rival's
they're going over. The 113s are just going for it. They're getting in here and they're focusing down Unknown One.
Right call.
The Batchats are going over. The guns are split for Rival. They're going to be able to focus out Unknown One. Almost no damage taken by Deja Vu.
Now, the only thing for Rival here is they can react. The 140s, the Batchats, have to begin focus firing immediately, or else this is going to go quickly into the favor of Deja Vu. They're going to take down, again, E63, but they are going to lose aggressor.
Flak is going to get focused out. He's about to go down. He's a one-shotter. They finish him up. Meanwhile, Executus is on reload. Commander J, Pub Whisper, and Coffee Thief all looking for shots. They are down by about 3,000 HP. However, their guns are together. They have a good crossfire. This isn't over yet. However, you do have to like the positioning out of Deja Vu. Their guns are together. They were reactive. They didn't stay too passive despite being in defense. They looked for an engagement that they felt they could handle, and they took it. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Although those 113s and the STB-1 with Harmless, they're so healthy still. And really just wish that if you're on Rival side, you wish you would have done a little bit more damage to those tanks.
And Executus, who was lurking in the backfield, getting some shots off. However, he is going to get focused out, and the rest of the guns have already left. They do not have any more support for him. One more shot goes, and Executus finds Harmless before Nationwide cleans him up.
Nicely played. That's the kind of focus you need. You know you're going to lose a tank. Make it as valuable as you can. But Deja Vu's still playing this really well. Look at it. Nationwide, Durgel, Milo, Putin, Chase. All of them are the healthy tanks that were left from that brawl. And now they've got more hit points.
And they're just going to go for Rival. The 113s are just going to go over. They're going to do what we call bully. They're just going to push in. They're going to take the shots with their HP. They are going to get the kills. Coffee Thief is going to go down, and it is all down to Pub Whisper. It is about to be 2-1 in favor of Deja Vu.
Nicely played. So you can see it. Deja Vu set the tempo. They were the first to push. They decided when to push, and they dictated to their opponent what kind of reaction was going to happen. They're like, you guys are going to have to deal with the fact that we're pushing you right now in a place that you would think would be somewhat foolish, in a place that you expect that we'd slow it down and try and play some hill games or something. And they just up and over.
Yep.
Yeah.
That said,
nicely.
You have to wonder, if you look at the last match day, or last time when Rival played, I believe it was Apex.
Okay.
Apex did the same thing that Deja Vu did to an extent, but they all went to the middle. They all stayed on the left side of the train tracks. Rival opened with the same play, and instead they tried to jump over the train tracks and take that, and they got focused out. I believe it was Flak and an STB got caught out trying to make that cross.
Yes.
So that said, this feels like Deja Vu just felt that they were going to do the same thing, that they weren't going to make a change, and that they just set up the hard counter. I feel like that's the perfect hard counter for that strat Rival ran. It didn't work against Apex, and it didn't work now versus Deja Vu, but I feel that this is more Deja Vu having the counter set up ahead of time, reading it, and I love it. I love the positioning. I love the decision making out of Deja Vu.
You know, I don't disagree with you. I actually agree with everything except for the fact that it might have been predetermined. The only thing about that I suspect, I'm not going to say 100%, but I think the Deja Vu was reacting. They saw that they went right up to the hill. Both teams are right there in front of each other, the other side of the hill, and you're just like, okay, well, what do I do next to take control? Oh, take the east side of the tracks. That's the advantageous position. I have control in that case. I can react and pivot around what you do. You can't pivot to what I do. You have one reaction, that is pull back, and if you're foolish, probably go forward.
Well, now you're talking in terms of reactions. They have an opening play. Depending on what they see is how they react.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing to think about. Look at the opening play out of Deja Vu. Look at their positioning. They were split. They had a bunch of tanks coming across the 6th line on the east side, and then they had the 113s on the west. What happens if Rival's not there in front of them? What happens if Rival takes, say, the 2 line out of them?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if you hadn't seen Rival there, you would have seen a totally different play.
But then their 113s are isolated on the other side. They can't get out of there, and Rival all of a sudden has 2-line control, and those 113s don't have anywhere to go.
Yes, but you have to have a plan for that, don't you? You have
to have something, but it's not going to be anywhere near as good. And you have to wonder, was that just a hard counter, which they set up for, and if it didn't pay off, did they have that plan B? Now, obviously, we don't get to find out. We are into our 4th battle, and look at the change-up in tanks here all of a sudden. Rival coming in with an E5, an IS-7, 3 140s, a Batchat, and an RU-251.
I like the 140s, dude.
Meanwhile, Deja Vu said, what you can do, we can do better. 5 140s, a Batchat, and an RU-251, and both teams are going for the middle ridge again.
And this is going to be I love this strat. This is the strat that on this map 2 years ago we saw, and I lost my mind because it was awesome.
And the trade's going back and forth. Rival set up a little bit in the low ground. Deja Vu doing a good job at working the high ground.
But look at this. Deja Vu has control. Rival is lower elevation, and they're still getting to the hill. Deja Vu should be able to take this. They're going to be able to focus Executus. Now, notice Chase is also going to the south. This is important. He could permalite everything that's up there.
And he'll have free shots unopposed, and the Rival cannot pull tanks away from the fight to go deal with him. Just the same, Pub Whisper's in the same position over in the 1 line. He's up on the high ground. He has clean shots onto these 140s where he's not going to be spotted the whole time.
Note, Harmless gets ammo rack damaged. And that's going to be crucial because he needs to be able to deal damage. That's the whole point of his 140.
Yep, and Flak actually takes a shot to his gun, damaging that. However, not taking any damage to the rest of his tank. And all of a sudden, Rival are still in this fight. They are trading very well. Pub Whisper is just sitting in a spot where he can just sit there with his hand off his mouse for most of it and just left click over and over again. He barely has to aim. Free side shots on these 140s, and he is really racking up the damage right now.
Oh, yeah. He's just clicking all day.
And Chase actually has to back off. And it looks like he's going to head to the cap and start the cap pressure for Deja Vu.
Look at Executus in that 110. He's a great tank in a hold down, but against 140s, he's going to get torn apart, especially if he doesn't have enough support. And I just saw a volley go right into him. Flak now is feeling the pressure. And this is what I'm seeing Rivals start to fall back on. They're not covering each other enough. And if Deja Vu picks up on this, they're going to be able to isolate one of these tanks.
Oh, this is brilliant. If My Little Putin doesn't get spotted, Deja Vu are going to be in a great spot here if Rival take too long to recognize it. They've gotten MacTap Putin all the way into the south, completely unspotted, and they've moved the rest of their tanks away towards the 2-cap. All of a sudden, they could have a great crossfire, and they could make it very hard for Rival to come over and retake the cap.
Master Putin Special Forces. Down in the southwest. He's just bouncing from bush to bush.
However, he needs to not be spotted by Pub Whisper. Milo Putin has to deal with him. MacTap Putin could be huge here, or he could be the downfall of this team. He could be the one that gets caught out of the position when Rival decide to dump up and over into the 7 line.
Yeah, and now with the damage being dealt, Putin's waited too long. He's completely isolated from his team. And as you can see from Rival, they didn't go into the south. Pub's the only one.
And now they're spotted each other. MacTap Putin fires the first shot into the dirt. He only has 3 left. He can't actually even kill Pub Whisper with what's left in his clip.
Yeah, he's got to run. It's a unfortunately wasted opportunity. Good show by Deja Vu on that one. It's a smart play, but you can see why it didn't work out. And it's not Deja Vu's fault. It's Rival making a decision which just kind of works out.
This is the epitome of a high-risk, high-reward strat.
Yes.
Could it have paid off? It could have paid out in spades.
Oh, yeah.
That said, backfired. They got caught out. The resets came in on that cap, and MacTap Putin couldn't really get in a position to pump out a lot of damage too soon.
And it's just a matter of time right now. There goes Putin. Aggressor. Nationwide should soon follow. There goes Nationwide. Very kind of him right there. And then we're going to go over to Aggressor. Aggressor should be going down just a moment. Pub's on his way over there. Now,
A bounce shot off the front of the 140 at a Pub. However, E63 does not bounce. E63 not known to be a player that misses shots.
no, he's pretty much.
He's been a machine even since the top tier days back in the day.
That's the word I was thinking. He was a machine. He just does exactly what he needs to when mechanically, efficiently. And you can always just depend on him to do
What comes to mind is he's the Terminator. That's what really comes to mind right there.
Dude, E63F6 is the Terminator. His name, if memory serves, is... Someone correct me if I'm wrong on Twitter. I'll probably be. But I think it has to do with the BMW engine. Someone would tell me.
I'm sure Twitch chat will beat you to Twitter. But
yeah, because I believe
regardless.
he's a bit of a gearhead. And a little while back, he came out and I interviewed him for something. And he did a little guide. And I was like, why are you
was that
called
the
E60?
season 2 finals or season 3? Top tier was out here a couple times.
It was bad. Don't watch my interviews. I can't do them. Like, I'm just awkward and I don't know how to talk to people. So
look at the Terminator himself this round. 3,700 damage in that E5. You called him out for that E5 not being able to work that ridgeline.
The tank, not him. The tank.
He, in that tank, worked that ridgeline perfectly. But meanwhile, Aggressor coming in at 2,100. Pub Whisper. Look at that. Pub Whisper in the tier 8. Third in the whole match on damage at almost 2,000. Meanwhile, Chase Potato, who you would have thought should have had a lot easier shots early on, misplayed it a little bit, gave up 2 HP, only got off 1 shot for damage. Overall, good stuff there out of Rival, and they're going to bring a point back into the series, and that should tie it up 2-2.
Yep, it is now 2-2, which is great for Rival. Deja Vu, probably still favored in this one. As we're probably, what are we heading on to? We're going to Himmelsdorf next, which means, what do you think that means for Rival? What do you think it means for
Rival
Deja Vu?
attacking first. Rival have been really, really shaky on this map. Looking down at their record, Himmelsdorf, they are 9-7, while Deja Vu are 9-9. So both teams relatively even on this map.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens. That said, we are ready for battle number 5.
Himmelsdorf, a small city map. The teams start the battle in opposite corners. Both bases are located close to each other, but in a way that you can't stay on the defensive all the time. The main attack routes pass through the hill, the alley and the railroad, but in general, the attack can be successfully executed through any part of the map. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers with powerful guns run the show here. However, a lot depends on the mobile light tanks.
And look at this lineup out of Deja Vu. 3 IS-4s, a mouse, an E5, a 183, and an IS-3, and they are defending.
All right, here's a challenge for you then. In 30 seconds or less, rationalize this strategy. Go.
You are going to play extremely passive. You're going to use the hold downs all over the map. You're going to sit there in predetermined positions with a quick rotate, ready to cover both caps without having to move. That is the only way you can make this lineup work.
So, bunker. Bunker. It's the bunker strategy.
Now here's the problem, is you have to be spread extremely thin.
In order to do that, because that's the point of the way this is designed. The map is designed so that you can't just...
The positioning out of MacTap right now is blowing my mind. Despite the rest of the team being passive, he is moving towards C6 right now. He is getting tucked in there, and he's going to be extremely hard to dig out. The 183 nationwide and the mouse can all be ready to get in there with him.
Who?
MacTap.
Who's MacTap? It's Master, right?
If he wanted it pronounced Master, he would have wrote it in English.
No. It's one of the things the Russians do. There was an entire team of they just don't know how to write things with the English characters properly. They try to translate and C becomes S and
the ability to change their name is within his realm of possibility.
It's Master Putin.
MacTap.
It's a Cyrillic thing.
We'll let him decide.
I think he did. He
hasn't told me otherwise.
He'll give you so much about it when you meet him at finals if they make it.
Well, they need to win 3 more rounds first to get to that point.
Well, it would be worth it. Master Putin is wonderful to hang out with, and he is just a joy. So I'm actually keep saying it because I'm going to love the ribbing he gives you. He's going to just tear you
I look
apart.
forward to it.
You will be thrashed, sir.
That said, looking at the lineups here, the other thing to keep in mind, with bringing this lineup from Deja Vu, look at the HP before anyone's taken any damage. Deja Vu start off with a 1,900 HP lead right now, a full tank essentially. Between that mouse and all those IS-4s, compared to the lineup out of Rival, which is 3 113s, 3 50Bs, and a 1390.
Yeah, that's one of the huge advantages of bringing these, is these kinds of strategies actually work out very, you like to say interestingly, because with that big of a map pool, think about this. If you actually went to a tiebreaker, you know how cumulative damage comes into play if no one won on attack?
Could come back to haunt them.
It actually does. Because what ends up happening is when you bring strats like that, and you actually no one wins on attack. Now, in this case, it won't happen. So I'll just sum this one up. But it's funny because when you bring strats with tons of health, which allow you to defend really easily, they can actually backfire on you if all you do is win on defense.
It's amusing to think about. And that said, look at Rival right now. They really haven't done a whole lot. They're not sitting in spawn so much, but they have Pub Whisper out on the 3 line just trying to get some intel. They got a couple 50Bs up on the hill looking for some damage, but everyone else is just in the low ground, chilling out, looking at the obvious lanes, looking for some sort of rotate out of Deja Vu. And what doesn't make sense to me about this play out of Rival,
is
look at the lineup out of Deja Vu.
Okay.
Are they going to do some sort of crazy flex with 3 IS4s, a mouse, an E5, and a 183?
Yes.
There's going to be some crazy sort of thing.
Yeah, there's going to be a flex. And an IS-4 is not that slow anyway. It's decent. It's quick enough.
It's not fast enough.
It's quick enough. The reaction time that you need, as long as you know what to do, right?
Pub Whisper should be all over this team from Deja Vu right now. He should be up in every little crack getting intel that he can.
Okay.
And the fact that he's not is a little bit concerning because right now the advantage that Rivals should be exploiting on this is they should know exactly where all these tanks are for Deja Vu. That should be the first priority that they have looking at this sort of lineup.
Well, you can probably guess them blind for the most part. But the problem you're going to run into is if there's any variation off of that, there's so many hit points that if you accidentally walk into a crossfire, you can't afford to have a high hit point difference.
Let's look at this,
trading.
for example. Are you going to assume that the 183 is going to sit at A6? That is not the location where you would expect that thing to be sitting.
You know, that's a good point.
So if you, and that's the thing is, well, they are sitting in some of the predictable positions. Not all of them. And if Rival isn't careful, they could just walk into a trap very similar to what CD did the other day.
Now, the first strat that comes to mind as a counter is this. Something I remember from good old, it probably isn't that relevant, but it probably doesn't work anymore. And this is it. You go up the 7-8, the banana, or actually this works too. This is a shortcut. You just go straight up the road on the 3 line, weave in and out, and then you focus on tanks like Chase Potato, Durgel, and Harmless when you go over here. Or you just turn it into a giant screen and put a tank on the 1 cap, right?
Yep, and Commander J actually looking for Harmless. They haven't spotted each other. And there he goes. The eyes do come out onto Harmless. They do spot him. So they know where one of those IS-4s are. And
now,
they need to be very decisive in this right now.
What's interesting, IS-3, if you get to feel good, it doesn't have the view range to really see Pub Whisper at any distance. Pub Whisper can run circles and start shooting.
Can you find out exactly how Chase in the IS-3 is set up equipment-wise?
Oh, yeah, of course. Actually, that's a good thing to look at. Chase has...
Because look at that right there.
Nice. He has binos. That is important because the IS-3 has notoriously horrible view range, and so the only thing you can really do is put some binoculars on it, sit it in the right spot.
And now they know My Little Putin is isolated, and now they know where Nationwide is, and the rotate is going to come out of Deja Vu. They're going to move over and guard against that 5 line. They assumed that 5 line push was coming, and they've actually had to move tanks out of position.
And now, Unknown One might find out about the FV in just a second.
Yeah, he doesn't know he's there. He's going to come around the corner. He sticks out too far. He's going to eat the shell. And he puts it into the wall.
He puts it in the dirt, right into the ground. Oh my gosh!
Unknown One is the luckiest man alive right now.
That was the most anticlimactic fire ever. It's just he should have gotten half a kill there.
Yep. And now here's the problem: is Deja Vu need to make some sort of rotate and quickly, but they don't have anything quick in their lineup. And
that doesn't
My Little
exist in
Putin
this.
just gets deleted, and all of a sudden Rival have evened it out on HP despite being down by 2,000 HP starting into this.
And their Pub Whisper, I like this, is actually harassing the IS-4 and IS-3 that would be coming into flank, and he's delaying them just a little bit, which, you noted this earlier, it's not a very quick reaction. Just a few seconds here, there's enough that an IS-4, IS-3 late to the party could ruin this.
And now look at this. They know the push is coming across the D-line, so they're going to take the overmatch, and they're just going to dump in on the cap. Now the problem is that they have just chosen, they've done it a little bit too soon, and they were able to turn into that 5 line. So now Deja Vu is here to help guard their mouse.
Yeah, and look, a lot of
1600.
damage is bouncing actually on the mouse. The mouse is absorbed maybe 2,400 in damage he's actually taken, but he's bounced like maybe 1,500.
And they've left that E5 alive. They haven't done enough to get him out, so that E5 is going to punish them. So Rival are not out of the woods yet. However, finally, Coffee Thief rotating around the south does pick up that mouse, and now they're going to try to focus out Harmless. They will commit Harmless down to 776. The next volley should kill him out of these 113.
And E63 is reloaded. That 50B is in an amazing position for Rival. He can stay there all day as long as these 113s are alive. So he's going to be able to help out against Putin. He may even be able to lend a hand against that T110 in just a moment.
And we are moments away from Rival moving to 3-2. And remember, the first team to 5 guarantees their spot to the regional finals. They guarantee their chance to keep playing for that $90,000 first place.
That's it. Nationwide is down. Rival will take their 3rd win in the series. Deja Vu at 2, one more for Rival, and I think they can start running away with it because Himmelsdorf steps after that.
And Steps is a map where you have to figure that Rival are going to be very comfortable on it. Being one of the maps that's been in the map pool, I want to say every season of the league.
Steps?
Yeah.
I
don't think it's ever been out of the rotation.
I'd have to look back to the actual first season, originals, like season 1 when we did like shootouts.
Well, I remember back in the day watching teams back in 742, teams bringing GW Panthers and M4043s when it was tier 8, and just watch them just delete a tank off the map. Which back in the days of 742, the fact that you could take out a tank like that was
the very
mind-blowing.
beginning. After that, they became useless, and also the Bison.
Well, but that was, you got to remember, this was before the artillery changes where they added artillery to tier 10.
Mm-hmm.
This is that long ago.
Yeah, like right at the very beginning. It lasted like a month or two.
Yeah,
I think there was like a month or two before they did the Great Arty patch of 2014 is what we called it. The Great Arty patch of 2014.
I think it was like 2013 or 2012. It was a long time ago.
God, I've been here too long. I need to write all this down. Oh, gosh. Look at this damage last battle nationwide.
Coming in there at 4,000, and the problem was his HP wasn't in the fight. He was playing that hold down. Now, he stayed alive and was relatively unopposed for most of the battle till the end there. And Rival just gave him free shots. They said, all right, we're just going to focus on killing everything else. You'll get your shots off, but you're in too good a position. We're just going to ignore you.
Yeah.
And I've talked about it before. Sometimes you just have to ignore somebody. Now, there are situations where a tank is in such a good position that you just need to back out and take a different engagement. You just need to give up on it.
There's also another option,
Go for it.
Man coverage. You just take one of your tanks, and you say, that guy is in a really annoying position, and I don't like that. And I would like him to stop shooting my players. I'm going to send one player with a tank of maybe a comparable hit points or maybe comparable armor, something that can play the game, right? And I just send him up against that T110. And all of a sudden, he's boxing him out, and he puts pressure. You can force the T110 to stop putting out damage as quickly when you can do that, because now he's worrying about one face-off. Himmelsdorf, here's our last battle of Himmelsdorf.
And one other thing I want to go over real quick, though, the other thing that a lot of people overlook is how those 113s interacted once they pushed into that E5. If you noticed, very subtly, they were doing a good job at rotating out the high HP tanks and putting them towards that E5 to where they could keep all their guns alive. That said, looking at the lineup, we are on to battle number 6. Deja Vu coming in with 3 113s, 2 50Bs, a grill, and a 1390. A very similar lineup to what Rival brought the round before. That said, Rival coming in with 3 50Bs, 2 250Bs, a 183, and a T49. Dustin would be beyond himself right now if he was here.
I love this tank. It's fun, but does it
on Himmelsdorf? I'm not sure I have ever seen a T49 on Himmelsdorf in league play before.
Is it a combination of view range, the derp, and I don't know.
The only thing I can think of
else.
is easy cap resets on defense.
It's also a tiny tank, so you can shove it in some interesting little corners here.
If they were attacking and they were trying to get some cap pressure, then yes, I'd agree. However, the problem is they're defending right now. So the only thing I can think is the HE shells and trying to get some splash resets, especially on that one cap.
Well, there's also look at the mid here, like where Master Putin is. Like all of those little bits of cover are
fair.
I think they're just about the right height for a T49 to play. I think that's about the range of height where the turret is, where you're just peeking over with your turret and you're not exposing too much of your body, or you're not just too short where you'll accidentally lose shells into the wall if you're not paying enough attention. Like, I think that's what you're doing also.
And the 215Bs holding in the north for Rival. They have actually pushed down most of their 50Bs towards the south, leaving just Executus with those 215Bs in the north. And it's actually going to be Pub Whisper kind of rotating around, heading back. with the rest of his team, just trying to hold vision across that D line to see if the push comes out of Deja Vu. Rival are 2 rounds away from guaranteeing their spot to the live finals. Can Deja Vu emulate exactly what 07 did in the match before and pull it back? We'll have to see.
We will see. Pub Whisperer is spotted out by Chase Potato on a scout run. You've got, look at this, Master Putin Aggressor and My Little Putin. Oh, Harmless is there as well. Big move into the southwest. But look, Commander J Coffee Thief and the rest of the gang are all chilling slightly to the west of that.
Yep, and it looks like the rotate's actually going to come through the south. Now, the biggest problem right now with Rival is these tanks in the south getting caught out. Now, they're staying kind of far back. The 183 on Node 1 in that 50, and the 215B, excuse me, they will have clean shots down that 2 line. So if some sort of aggressive play comes out down the south, what'll determine that fight is how effective the Executus and Unknown One can be in that brawl. If they can get off enough damage down that line, they can keep these guns alive. If they fail to punish them on that cross, that could be 3 guns down for Rival with not a whole lot going on to Deja Vu.
Yes, but I think the cover fire is there for Rival. I think Deja Vu is going to have a disadvantage because nationwide, and that is Durgel. I don't know what Durgel's options are in a fight in the west, especially from the hill. Can you see far enough to make the shots hit? Do you actually have a decent angle?
You don't
on
have
that?
the view range. However, I
You
will
don't-
say...
Or draw distance, right?
Well, or draw distance. But I will say from experience, if they know where tanks are, or you can line it up on the mini-map, you can land blind fire shots over even as far as E1. I've seen it done. That said, it requires a good bit of coordination and tanks sitting still, which is something I don't know that we'll see right now.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking just the same thing. Yeah, you can blind fire it out there, but do you really have good angles? Is this something you even tested and know for a fact?
Well, I know that the really common position, the north end of the E1 building, I know that can be blind fired from the hill very effectively.
That
you
one's
can
very
still see
common.
it.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of the 1 line, that's a lot more questionable. It depends on the angles. I know there are some shots where the 2 line can return fire onto the hill, including blind fire. I've also seen that done.
Bringing this one back, though, to Deja Vu's flex
Rotate.
off of this. Yeah, Commander J, Coffee Thief, and E63 are still in the southwest, poised and ready for a fight. And I just watched Harmless, like 5 tanks, all just back off and go right up the banana. They're going towards the cap. There is some kind of reaction.
And the biggest thing that I got a question here out of Rival is the positioning of Pub Whisper. He's not really sitting in a position to get any sort of intel. He has taken a good bit of damage, and maybe that's part of it. However, this whole rotate's come out of Deja Vu, and they have made absolutely no rotate whatsoever. They're all the way down there in the south. If 3 tanks get on cap, they're going to really struggle to get that reset.
Look at Pub. He's so low right now that, and now I see why because he can fire HE and splash out
That's what I was just saying earlier, is the resets are the only thing that Tier 8, in my opinion, on Himmelsdorf is really good for.
Can you is the angle actually worth it there? Because it seems like with the curvature of the building, like it's slightly curved.
RNG would have to be on your side on so many levels. I'm not sure that is necessarily feasible.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it doesn't seem feasible. It seems like you're kind of banking on something that really shouldn't pay off.
However, they do decide to finally rotate Pub Whisper out towards the south. Maybe we'll see him go up towards the hill. However, if you look at it, Harmless and that 50B is still lurking on the south end of the hill. Executus has moved and is looking for someone to pop up in the 5 line, the same position that we saw out of MacTap Putin earlier.
Master
That said, they are going to start rotating over across the cap.
And yep, there's Executus moving on out so he can get the counterfire.
However, Deja Vu are set up to punish this.
But Executus might know the angle. You reverse angle.
Yep.
Which is pretty much, instead of angling your front armor to bounce, you just use your side.
You want to use your side. You give him a very light angle, and he's going to start slowly backing up for it. However, there's only 45 seconds on the cap.
There's
a huge hit going on to MacTap for 1,800 and splashes the 1390 in the process.
There we go. That's an ideal scenario right there. Not only do you get the reset, but that was as effective.
However, the heavy tanks of Rival are being focused out on the cap. 1,500, 1,900 on the Unknown One. Can they find the kill shot? And they do. Finally, Durgel picks them off on the little commander's hatch on top, finds the flat armor, and gets the kill.
Flack was trying as much as he could, but no. That Growth 15's too good of a tank, man.
It is ridiculously accurate. It has insane DPM. The downside is it just doesn't have a whole lot of HP, and it has no armor. So it used very well in that sort of situation, though.
Yeah, just find where he goes, and he exposes him for fractions of a second to fire.
And meanwhile, Pub Whisper, not having HP, is just having to lurk in the south, doesn't really have anywhere to go. Just trying to open up maybe some intel there, but he can't really be too aggressive with it because he is a one-shotter. He could get picked off, and all of a sudden that's all the eyes gone down for Rival. So delicate situation there. It needs to be a fine line of making sure he's still relevant, he still gets some information, but he's not risking it to where he can get picked off.
Yeah, it's tricky. But now it's really this. Deja Vu has a choice. They can keep trying to put cat pressure on. They can just keep doing what they're doing and wait for Rival to come up with a solution. Or Rival sits back just doing the same thing, waiting for Deja Vu to do something they can take advantage of.
What I would do right now is pretty much what we're seeing out of Harmless. I would flex some tanks away and open up the map. You know where Rival
Here's
are.
Here's E63, though. Sorry, he's moving in. Looks like he's going to try and get an angle.
Yep. So what I was saying is, what you try to do, and Harmless picks up Pub Whisper finally, and now Harmless is down in the south. Now this is the one opportunity that Rival will have where they know that there's one tier 10 out of the fight, and it's actually Deja from the hill that finds the shot onto Commander J for almost 700.
That's an angle that Commander J completely forgot about, and my little Putin sneaks a shell in.
And now Deja Vu all of a sudden go from being in a bad position to a great position, and they could clean this up very easily.
And Rival chose at that moment to engage. Just everything has gone wrong, or Deja Vu has done it perfect. They knew when they were going to attack. They got the damage, they got the kill right after, and Rival was already committed. They can't pull out, they can't pull back. 3 tanks left alive. Deja Vu is going to tie this one up. Should be 3-3.
Are we going to see a second tiebreaker tonight?
Hey, what a night to see tiebreakers on, though.
What a night it is. Mini Eclipse holding true to their name, evening this series up. Great focus fire there. On to E63. Coffee Thief will be next. Durgil just lurking in the backfield, but he's not going to get the kill. It is going to go to Nationwide, and that is going to tie the series up 3-3.
There we go. Okay. I'm down with that. This is interesting. This is a really interesting battle because back and forth, I'm seeing things from either team on each map where you're like, all right, I like what you're doing there. I can appreciate that. I see that you're really, I can see the applied analysis.
The biggest thing there is I love the read out of Deja Vu, especially with the position of their grill.
Yes.
That was fantastic. They left him there on the 0 line. He got good early damage towards the middle. It was crucial in picking up that one kill, the first kill onto not Flak, but Unknown One.
Yes.
So great job there. And then
he carried that battle.
Foresight.
He carried it. He's the one who got the crucial kills.
Yeah, the foresight to back away and to come over towards that hill and then get up on the hill and open up that angle towards where Executus was and be ready to be effective there without having his HP in the fight was just absolutely fantastic. And it was just a great focus fire drill essentially out of Deja Vu.
Because it's wonderful how they knew what Rival was going to do in reaction to their push. Because they get the kills where they do. They know they're going to put something on cap, and that the rest of Rival is going to do this little spread, this little kind of a semicircle, as it were, where you're going to have a tank in the open right where there was, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yep.
There's going to be a tank where Commander J was. And so they can say, oh, well, they're going to be setting up to react and do a counter push when the time's right, so, well, let's take advantage of this. I can throw the grill up on the hill, he'll get a shot down there, then all of a sudden that's 1,000 damage, give or take.
Well, it's 750 guaranteed, 750 alpha, and then depending upon the roll. Still, but with the grill, he'd already taken some damage, they didn't have all the HP, so staying on that 0 line was a risk, because if they came around, they very easily could have turned and just picked him off if he got spotted. So it was a great foresight by them to move him up onto the hill, open up that angle. I do like the play, moving Harmless in the south. A little bit of a risk having him kind of out of position once he picked up Pub Whisper.
Of course.
And that was what I was saying, is spotting the tank in the south could be the trigger for Rival to just make that push.
Okay.
That said, we are on to battle number 7. Take it away.
Yeah.
Steps, the most open map in the league. The attacking team appears near the rocks at the bottom of the map, and the defending team starts at the top. Bases are located near the railway and on the green. The best way to control them is to use the lowland near the second base. The attacking team usually begins the attack from the rocks and the railway, but sometimes they can attack through the green. Teams often drag vehicles from flank to flank, so both teams usually pick light vehicles with a good camouflage rating, but sometimes use tanks with a strong turret and even SPGs.
We are on to battle number 7. Looking at it, Deja Vu coming out with 2 113s, 4 Batchets, and an RU-251. Meanwhile, Rival, 3 113s, a 140, a Batchat, a TVP, and an RU-251.
All right, this seems fine.
Rival,
that's
the
good.
attacking side, bringing 3 113s. They are going to head straight over towards the east Does not look like they're going to bail out towards the middle road. They're instead going to go all the way over there. An aggressive play coming out of Deja Vu, taking control of the west. The 113's pushing in the low ground. They should be able to get over towards B1. I've also seen teams use the hold down and cover around B2, B3 and kind of play it slow with those 113s and leave the Batchats in the distance.
I could see that.
These rocks right here. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to sit here and they're going to look for good shots as they come over. However, the problem is that Rival are nowhere to be found, and they won't find them, at least for a very long time, because they are pushing straight in towards the 2-cap. These 113s not even stopping. And fortunately for them, they don't have anyone up on the boost, and they
Although
don't have...
they might find Putin. A few missed shots. Putin is going to be...
could get focused out here. 113s are coming in aggressive. They do spot him, but he's getting out without doing any damage. He's ducking into the low ground, and he should be able to get out of there scot-free. That said, positioning goes to Rival.
Yep, they're going to take the cap. They're going to put the pressure on. The reaction, of course, is coming from the west. Deja Vu is going to need to dip down into the open field and then use the hill in order to get cover. Or they'll do this. They'll just go back around the north. This is actually
and
not
look at
what
this
most
map
people
control out of Rival. They're going to give up the cap, and they're going to push the 113s straight into the tanks of Deja Vu.
Deja Vu is trying to salvage Master Putin. They expect that he wouldn't be able to get out, that he would get taken down if he tried to leave. So better to salvage the situation. Guys, let's back
And
Putin
these
up.
Batchats are looking like they're just ready to take the fight. Are they just going to go up and over?
Yep.
They're going to go up and over. Here comes a brawl. How can the guns of Rival get in here? Flak's going to be focused out first by Deja Vu. They're trying to return fire. They put out 1,400 on it Nationwide, and Nationwide goes down for them. However, a known one gets picked up.
And
T49 looking up. They're about to get a kill onto him as well. Great push out of Deja Vu, working out very well in their favor.
And there we go, Pub. I like the way he's getting in there. He's the light tank. He needs to get in the fight. He needs to be a distraction because all of these Batchats, they're so much more important. Their hit points are worth so much more.
There is one opportunity for Rival to turn this around, and that is right now. They need to punish these Batchats while they're reloading. They need to get these 113s down. They need to pick one group of tanks, and they need to get them down before those Batchats can reload.
But look at it. You've got Coffee Thief, Executus, and Pub. And Executus is on reload. Now he just comes off, but he should go down momentarily. The RU's going to get reloaded. He's going to be able to put maybe one shell in, maybe two. Nope. Putin's taking him.
And this battle's over. This is Deja Vu moving to match point. Deja Vu now one round away from securing their spot to the regional finals. Can they emulate Eclipse? Can they get the fourth and final slot just like Eclipse did a season ago?
It looks like that might be more and more true, but it's not over yet. Deja Vu takes this battle. Can they take the next one? The sides will swap. I'll say that was a botched strat from Rival. Good play. Not as strong as Deja Vu's reaction. I gotta give it to them. They knew what to do. They realized how, I think the word is hobbled, Rival was by the speed at which they tried to get into position. I guess literally as old as written language, there is the rule that is don't forced march yourself, which is don't send your unit all the way to the point that you want to and get them there as fast as they can just because you can get a few guys there as fast as you can, where you're going to have 4 or 5, half of your group left behind.
Yep, make sure that you keep your guns together and everyone can support each other. If you do it too soon, the guns trailing aren't there to support, and that's kind of what we saw there. And the biggest problem that Rival overlooked, I feel, was the lineup out of Deja Vu. They brought all those Batchats, and so when they made that decisive push, those 113s dropped like flies.
Yeah.
They went down. The first volley came out, and it was, I believe, Flak that just got focused out, and then E63 right after that, and there just was nothing they could do about it. They didn't have the pure volume of fire to return onto them and really go eye for eye at that point.
Yeah, and you saw a little bit of a comeback that could have seemed like Rival had the opportunity to come back, but now they'd lost what 1, 2, 3 tanks at that point. They don't have that damage anymore. You don't have volleys of 113s happening once those Batchats have gotten a few kills and they start to lose momentum and they have to go and reload. It's like, you've gotten 3 kills. You have the advantage. It doesn't matter if the other team unloads into what you have left. They won't have enough damage. You'll be able to just get reloads, come back in, and engage again. It's done.
Yep, absolutely. That said, we are on to battle number 8 right now. Can Deja Vu close this out? Can they secure their spot to the live finals? Can Rival force overtime? It is 4-3. Now, this is a little bit different from what we saw earlier. That said, here are the lineups. Deja Vu, 2 113s, 4 Batchats, and an RU-251. Meanwhile, Rival, an IS-7, 3 140s, 2 Batchats, and an RU-251. Looking at these lineups, once again, Deja Vu, pretty much the same lineup they just brought. 2 113s and 4 Bats. That's the same amount of flexibility they had before. they can get around the map. The 113s are very quick. The Batchats have that burst that we saw out of them. Meanwhile, Rival and IS-7, with the IS-7 and the 140s, a lot of consistent fire. The IS-7 being a great hold-down tank. And we're going to see this boost out of them. They're going to turn Executus around, and they're going to stack up for the boost, and they're going to get him up there. Last time, I believe it was Coffee Thief we saw up here in this boost. This time, we're going to see Executus boosted up there.
Oh, Chase is spotted on his opening scout run. Pub Whisper.
Slowly getting them up.
It's possible if they're reading into it, they...
and a lot of damage on Commander J.
There we go. That's what we're looking for. Maybe even some fire coming in that direction.
And they're choosing to abandon hope. Meanwhile, Deja Vu have just taken map control. They are pushing very aggressively. And right now, the Batchats are getting aggressive, and the majority of the tanks are spotted for Rival. And this is a very bad situation for them because now Deja Vu know exactly where to go. They know exactly where the guns are, and they know that they're not pushing into any sort of trap or crossfire.
And what's weird about this, actually, is Deja Vu can't get too spread out. Unlike last time where we saw Rival push up in a similar manner to this, what you saw is a lot of ground was given. And that actually kind of worked like a vacuum for Rival, and they just got sucked in. And this time, Rival is actually set up in their position, so Deja Vu is just going to come into the right positions, set up, and begin trading. Now, it'll come down to who trades better and who comes up with the better reactions here or there. Master Putin, though, is moving in on the west
Deja
flank.
Vu are in such a good position right now. Backtap Putin in that Batchat pushing across the 6th line. Chase Potato still lurking in the south. Deja Vu have a perfect balance with all their guns on every side. They have control of the 6th line, they have control of the cap, and they have control of the low ground. It's a 9 line. If there's any complaint, it's that they have too many tanks in that low ground. However, looking at Rival, they have as many Batchats committed down there as well. E63 taking a lot of damage, poking out there, and right now, Deja Vu, you have to feel are in a very good position. Rival are going to struggle to support each other with that many guns in the low ground. Mactap Putin has a free roam along the 6-7 line, and Chase Potato is going to take the head-to-head with Mactap Putin, or excuse me, with Pub Whisper, so that could be instrumental right now in deciding who wins this battle.
Oh, 6:35 into Pub. Pub's almost dead. One more shell and he will go down. Chase is going to come on over and gets the kill, and that's going to be the flank. That's going to be the scout. That means Deja Vu can now put the cap pressure on the west while simultaneously taking the fight on the east side.
Yep, and Mactap Putin's in a great position. Flak looking for a reset. They haven't quite found it yet. And now one finally does get the reset, and they're just going to push up and over. They're going to go for the brawl right now. They focus down E63.
And what's Rival going to be able to do in order to react? I don't think they have a lot.
And let's get ready to listen to Deja Vu right now as they clean up this brawl. This is in their control.
Reloading. Aggressor is reloading.
Reloading as well. Max reloading.
Armus should be able to get that kill. Armus, you can get that kill good.
Oh my god.
Come on.
It's fine. Pull out now, Armus. Pull out.
I'm not gonna let the bats get away. I'm gonna go flank them from the side.
Come on.
10 seconds.
How much do you have left?
25.
Deep breath, what do you got? So many one shots.
14.
We're in the driver's seat.
Are we gonna re-push?
We need
they're
to
pushing
No, just
low.
calm.
Push it out. Push it out. Aggressor, you gotta support Harmless.
We gotta
No.
kill Flak. We gotta get Flak.
I have 15 guys.
Harmless, get out of there. Harmless, just get out.
Kill Flak.
One shot at no one?
Come on, get
No
Flak.
one.
Flags track.
Nice.
Just get shots out. Just get shots out.
Nice.
Commander
I got
J.
one.
Commander J.
Commander. Nice.
Reloading.
Come on.
Aggressor's out. I'm running.
Putin, how many kills do you have?
One, that's it. I'm reloading.
I got left.
Aggressor, bring him up to Putin.
No, I'm reloading. I can just kite him around the stuff.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm better than him. Suck
Come
my
on,
dick,
Aggressor,
Commander
do
J.
this.
I'm Commander J. I sound
Do
like a
this.
fucking 80-year-old, and I'm only 30.
Oh my god, that's on comms.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's on comms?
Yeah.
I sound like a douchebag now.
Oh, goodness. That was perfect. Wow. Oh,
And
that's gold.
Deja
That's
Vu secure the victory. They will be going to the live finals as our 4th team.
Congratulations. That was... Who was that at the end? I need to know.
I'm not sure. I think it was Aggressor, but I'm not positive.
Could it have been Mr. Man?
No, Mr. Man's not even on Deja Vu.
Why am I thinking that? Why did I think Mr. Man's voice? That's what I was thinking. It sounded like Mr. Man. I don't know who that was. I'm going to have to find out in the post-game interview.
That said, Deja Vu are our fourth team coming here to Burbank for the regional finals, edging out Rival for the third time this season. Each time Rival got beaten by Deja Vu to this point, and this was the first time where they really made a game of it, I feel. However, just not enough. Deja Vu just doing a great job. And look at it. Batchat of Aggressor, 3,400 damage over 14 shots. Mactap Putin coming in at 2,700.
Master Putin coming in at 27.
Well, he'll be here at the live finals. He can tell me how he wants me to say it.
He wants you to say Master.
That said, Unknown One and Coffee Thief picking it up for Rival. Flak and E63 also coming in there for Rival on the top page. Ironically, it's only 3 guns for Deja Vu on the first page for the whole series. Meanwhile, Commander J at 1,500. And then Pub Whisper, who got deleted very early on, not able to really get into that fight. But look at Durgil down there at 113. 412. Kind of interesting there out of Durgil. The fact that he kind of got focused out early by that initial push. He caught out a little bit. He was on cap. He was the first one over. He was the first one that got focused out by Deja Vu. Or not by Deja Vu, but by Rival when he pushed over. So had a bad time there. But look at the series, though. Despite losing, Coffee Thief putting up 1,700 damage, almost 1,800. Doing a great job on tonight. And then we have Milo Putin, who was rumored to not even be able to be played tonight, coming in huge in this series, doing 1,600. Aggressor coming in next at 1,500. And then Flak, E63, and Executives picking it up for Rival.
All right. Well, I think that the numbers tell the story well enough there. That was an excellently played match. Rival, I favored them. I was wrong. Deja Vu is playing pretty much to what your predictions were, which is solid. Good plays. There's not a huge number of mistakes. There were few this match.
Now, you could argue there was, in a few of those rounds they gave away, the round on Himmelsdorf, the straight cheese strat, essentially.
Yeah.
That backfired against him a little bit.
Throw
However,
that one out the window. That one was so wash, almost that you can say, okay, that's good. Okay, we'll just move past that and try and not do that ever again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Finding out, and I've talked about it so often this season, stagnant defenses are very hard to make work. In the perfect situation, when you have time to kind of shift one down and they make some sort of bad, uncoordinated push, yes, it works. That said, against a team that's very coordinated and experienced like Rival, you're not going to be able to make something like that work.
Those strategies are holdovers from old days when the maps were such that everyone had figured out the best static defenses and probability was in your favor. Unless you completely messed it up, you had every reason to win on defense in those cases. So those strats kind of just are a holdover. You just find good, solid positions, and that's just a thing that tanks have always done. There's always strategies around building out static positions that are solid defenses, but what has always happened is whenever anyone figures out that there's a static defense with tanks, you just blow it up.
Yep. So the other thing to look at here is up next, we still have one more match tonight. Despite the finals, the final 4 teams being finalized right now, we still have one more match to decide 5th and 6th place. It is essentially a $7,000 money match between Rival Simple Tankers and Aquatic M60s.
Yep.
So that'll be fun when we get to that in a few moments. Waiting to find out if we are going to have a post-game interview or not. I'm not quite sure yet. That said, I was just informed that we do indeed have a post-game interview. So let's find out who is joining us.
Gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, that was something, wasn't it? Wally Whiff. There were a few battles there. What was going on with Deja Vu?
I don't know. Guys were really hyped going into it. I don't know. We pulled it out. That's all I got. I'm so excited. I'm just so happy for our team that we managed to pull it out. I mean, like, we could have totally lost that, or we could have even won at bigger numbers. Like, that game was crazy.
Absolutely. Rival on your side. Guys, there were some battles in there, like Ruinberg, hit and miss. First time, I guess, Deja Vu, you guys played it beautifully. Second time, Rival. It felt like the beginning was back and forth. You guys couldn't figure out 2 strats on a map that were going to just be solid, or you're just trying something different. What were you guys going with there, Rival?
The Ruinberg attack, we had tried, like I said, we did draw something different. Defense, we just had the same. Pretty much on Himmels for both steps. We had a slight difference, and I kind of failed a little bit on steps defense. But, just a couple things we drew up and wanted to try.
All right. And then since this will be one of the last times we see you, we'll be playing in just a second, but Rival has had a great season. Will we be seeing any of your players over at the finals? Are you guys going to come on down to Burbank?
Yeah, I'm sure some people will be there. Some of them are actually pretty close. I know Pub's pretty close. Kume's pretty close. Not sure who else would be going. I'm sure someone will show up and come have a good time with all you guys there.
Well, thank you guys for playing. This will be nearing the end of the story. Now, Deja Vu, I'm going to want to ask you guys a few last questions, but do you have anything?
I just want to know how you guys are feeling right now. I mean, that was a pretty tough match, grudge match, just back and forth. And what are you guys kind of feeling right now as you clean up that last round, you get those last kills? What's going on through your team?
If we go back to the last time we played Rival, we lost 5-4 or 4-5. We felt awful. I mean, obviously they're a great team, they're a veteran team, and that's what they have over us is the ability to like stay in a match, because we can get tilted, I bet, way easier than they do. Like when you have seasons under your belt, that's where it is. But oh my God, the team speak was going crazy.
Yeah, what was that at the end?
When we knew we were winning.
Who was that at the
What?
end with the thing about Commander J?
I'm not sure exactly who it was. There was too many people yelling in my head, so I'm not sure.
It was hilarious. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That said, once again, Executives, we'll see you in another few minutes. But once again, congratulations on your season. Sadly, only one team out of the two of you could join us at the live finals, and that will be Deja Vu. So best of luck to both of you going forward.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, that's that.
Yep.
That's one way to end a match. Executives looked like you could see his feels.
Yeah.
Right on his face.
No, and they've had such a hard season. And I just want to talk about Rival for just a second before we throw a break. Is they've had such a hard season. They had some roster issues early on. They really slow getting started, especially losing Jay Smooth to real life stuff. I believe he's a football coach, so with it being football season right now, obviously he can't do both. Yeah. So putting priorities there and giving new leadership to Rival and them trying to build that up. And look how far they came. They managed to squeak into the playoffs. They put up a great fight tonight versus Deja Vu. Could have gone either way. And now, going forward, I feel this isn't the end of Rival by any means. Next season, I think they'll be back. I think they're finally making the right steps. So next season, we're not going to see that same slow start. They can focus the preseason on just improving their struts and not just rebuilding the whole team.
There's a thing to respect about a team, and you notice this from Wally as well. They're established. They're a veteran team. There's a reason they're still around. They're not going anywhere anytime soon.